Hello, I'm Tylah Tully and today I'm joined by Golden Mile Resources Managing Director Damon Dormer. Damon, thanks for being here today.
Pleasure, Tyler.
So the company has released results from its maiden drilling program at the Pearl Project in Arizona. What can you tell us today?
So to start with, we put drill holes into both the Odyssey prospect and the Ford prospect, which were both around two sets of old workings, totally independent of each other. The results that we got at Odyssey, we certainly got copper intercepts between 1 and 2.5% copper on multiple intercepts. Albeit structurally it looks to be a little bit different to what we first envisaged, but that's what you get with a maiden drill program when targeting. There's always a little bit of difference than what we expect. At Ford, we certainly encountered copper intercepts, but what was really interesting at Ford was the size of the limanitic alteration in the oxide zone. So we had, two holes showed that was going between, one hole showed 20 metres of limanitic alteration and the other showed up to 60 metres of limanitic alteration. And that's significant because we only drilled shallow within the single testing below the old workings, which we're still in oxide, which went through. We encountered azurite, which is a part of that. We've actually still got one re-assay still outstanding on that program. But certainly it's a significant piece of alteration. We've yet to test really underneath that as well, which wasn't the intent of this first program.
And you've also released some rock chip sampling from the Aurora prospect at Pearl. Can you share any highlights and findings there?
So Aurora prospect's located about 800 metres to the east of Odyssey. Now, it wasn't on the initial radar. That was come across through field work we did, being announced in January this year, the initial results. And we've taken further results of that while we had the drilling program going on and everything else. And we took another 11 samples there. Now, 7 of those samples came back at greater than a gram. And the top 5 samples range between 6 grams a tonne all the way up to just under 30 grams a tonne. So certainly getting, certainly a lot more supportive evidence and really reinforcing that as a highly prospective area for gold.
And Pearl is strategically located in Arizona. What can you share about your neighbours and what advantages do you see of potential operations there?
So one of the big things about Arizona is it's both a very mining-friendly state in itself, and then there's huge federal support for mining going on within the United States. The state of Arizona itself has a huge amount of infrastructure. So where, the example I always like to use, if you're in WA and you're testing a prospect 600 kilometres out, well, the Pearl Copper Project's located only a few kilometres from major highways, power infrastructure and everything else that comes along. There's been a very long mature history of copper mining in particular in Arizona, which means there's a lot of already set infrastructure around copper mining and processing and technical support within the area as well. So it's very conducive, and I actually think that New World Resources is a great example. They are certainly much further along their pathway than us, and they're obviously under multiple takeovers at the moment with people trying to buy them out. So exciting times in Arizona, and certainly we're seeing more Australian companies move to Arizona as well for projects.
And you have a strong pipeline of activity planned at the Pearl Project. What can you tell us about what you've got planned?
So over the summer months now, bear in mind that Arizona gets to 48, 50 degrees heat in the summer, but certainly there's more field work, there's more geological mapping, there's more geochem work we want to do as well, and there's some more geophysics work we want to do as well, because we know certainly around the Ford area that we've got areas that from previous work there's been areas of high resistivity and low resistivity, which is certainly conducive to further exploration, and we want to use that to vector in and justify the next drill program going into autumn. But you don't want drill rigs running in 50 degree heat in the middle of Arizona with that. So we'll do our field work and then move into our targeting our next drill programs for the project.
Definitely sounds like exciting times ahead. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure, thank you.
For more ASX news and analysis, subscribe below.